Hello and welcome to Arn. This is Paul Bromwell as usual, and today I'm joined on the Four Horsemen Network and One True Sport by the Hall of Famer, the founder of the Four Horsemen, the creator of the Spine Buster 1A of tag team wrestling. He's my tag team partner now. He's double A. He's Arn Anderson. Arn, how are you this week, my friend?
Hanging in there, dude. Doing well. How about you?
It's
Okay.
It's good, man. I'm doing great. It's great to see you. And we had a switch up. I was supposed to go on a work trip. Work trip didn't happen, so we were able to get together instead of and stick to our normal schedule. And you and I were able to hook up and keep to our every 2 week deal. But man, it's so good to see you. Georgia's back, number 2. College football is crazy in full swing. You're making appearances, lots going on. We'll get into some of that, but how you enjoying life right now, my friend?
Well, Georgia woke up, thank God.
Yeah,
Uh, Alabama got beat. I hate that.
they're 15 in the country now.
You know what?
Alabama.
You know what? Let me make a prediction.
Okay, let's hear it.
They can drop one more game and still somehow, just because of who they are and their storied past, somehow make it into playoffs. Wait and see.
I think you're right. Somehow, but well, because of the extended playoffs this year, which by the way, I'm looking forward to with all these wins, losses, and the upsets that we're seeing. So I'm not traditionally haven't been a big time college football guy, but it's got my attention. I saw Tennessee obviously beat Alabama, Georgia beating Texas. That was fun. So I'm interested. I'm invested. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with the playoff situation this year. So we'll see how all that shakes out. But I always think about you, Arn, when I see Georgia pull out those big wins. I know that it puts a big smile on your face.
Well, the Alabama Tennessee game was a hell of a game.
It was, yes.
Tennessee, you better not forget about. They
They got that young quarterback. So we'll see if he can continue to rise up and make it happen.
It's a good thing.
It is. It's good. It's good when when you see some variety. Tennessee is finally, they haven't been a top 5, top 10 team in a while. So I'm sure Double J Jeff Jarrett's loving that. I'm sure he's giving Connie a wrath of shit beating Alabama. I was thinking about that too. It's a lot of fun. It's a fun time of the year. We got comments pouring in, guys. This is Ask Arn Almost Anything. So what I'd say is start getting your questions in. Use those super chats. Arn's a free agent, okay? He's doing autograph signings and appearances, but we appreciate you guys taking advantage of the super chat function. We're always going to get to those super chat questions. So I want to encourage you to take advantage of it over the next 60 minutes, and we'll make sure that we get to your questions and have some fun tonight. But Arn, in traditional fashion, before we get into that, I wanted to talk about some appearances that you're going to be doing here soon. I know you got one coming up this weekend. I'm going to throw it on the screen. Throw down in Tatertown. And you're not going to be alone. Your old friend Ricky the Dragon Steamboat's going to be there with you this weekend.
And Brock.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, we are. That's a huge event. I'm a big fan of First. Believe it or not, in 42 years, to my recollection, I have never been to this town. So it's a first.
Thomasville, North Carolina. There you go.
It's a first, and I'm a big fan of First. So I'm excited about that. Brock's excited. He and CW sure we'll have a big title defense. We're looking forward to it.
Guys, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see the graphic on the screen there. East Davidson High School, Thomasville, North Carolina. Arn's first time there. Meet the Stars, 5 o'clock. First match at 7. Find out more, amlwrestling.com. It's a fundraiser, too, Arn, for East Davidson High School Athletic Booster. So it's all for a good cause. And so make sure you check that one out for sure. Arn, you were telling me before we jumped on to MLW, Brock and CW, they're going to be in Chicago doing a live TV taping in November. So everybody continue to keep your eyes peeled and check out MLW and support our guy, Brock Anderson. It's so cool to see what he and CW are doing right now in MLW, Arn.
Absolutely, and they're hooked up with Bobby Fish and one other gentleman. His name is passing me by. I'm not being disrespectful here, but we got a foursome Imagine that, a
Yeah,
foursome.
yeah.
Start.
Imagine an Anderson and a foursome.
Yeah, no joke. So a lot of good things. We're happy to be affiliated with MLW, and just some good stuff starting to happen. Can I
Let's
say?
talk about another appearance. Go ahead.
No,
Go
no,
ahead. You
no,
want to
no,
say
no.
something?
No, yeah. Let's go ahead. Let's plug
Okay.
our stuff first.
All right. You got it. You got it. Just don't forget that thought. Let's talk about the Retro Toy Convention on November 22nd through 24th. Greenville, South Carolina. I know not only are you excited about the Retro Toy Con, you're excited for Erin to go with you on it. You mentioned she loved to do a little shopping in Greenville. It's going to be a great weekend for you, Brock, and the family. And I know you're looking forward to the toy conventions, aren't you?
Absolutely, Greenville's one of our favorite towns from a wrestling perspective. Fans are as good as anywhere else in the country. Downtown area is really, really turned into something of a fan event. Believe it or not, I mean they're world famous for their downtown shopping. So Aaron will have plenty to do while we're working. Looking forward to it, and it's not far from Charlotte, so that's a
It's
good
going to
one.
be a great time. Is she bringing Smokey? Is Smokey coming?
Smokey makes all the trips that we drive.
I love it. I love it. Smokey will be there too. And Arn, I have one more graphic to show. You didn't see this one, but we're in October. This is our last show in October. You know what happens about in a week and in 2 days? It's Halloween. Okay. So our man Marcus D'Angelo did the artwork for the Ask Arn Anything. And I thought, you know what? I gotta pop this up and I gotta show Arn what Marcus came up with for our Halloween themed Ask Arn Anything. Arn on the right there, he's got you as Freddy Krueger. I mean, come on. What do you think about that artwork with that hand and the claw and Ask Arn Anything? Kind of creepy, huh?
Yeah, well, the head being detached is a little disturbing.
It's a little artistic. It's a little artistic slant on Freddy. Yeah, for sure.
I know it's artistic liberty, but isn't that a little creepy for you?
I love it, man. I love how the red it's the red smoke kind of doesn't show your neck and all the features there, but you got that arm sticked out like you're trying to grab for some Hershey bars with almonds, maybe.
Oh, well, as usual, Marcus never disappoints. He's a part of the team and very valued. That's for sure.
He crushes it. For sure. So I had to show that to you because we do have Halloween around the corner. So if you have any fun Halloween questions, has Arn ever dressed? Don't answer them now. has Arn ever dressed up? What is it like Halloween around his house? Does he like to give out candy? All those types of questions. Let's have fun tonight as we do this final show in October. Arn, it's hard to imagine. We're talking through the calendar. We only have 4 shows left this year. Can you believe that after tonight's?
It's running out on the year, and the year is about to be gone.
Crazy. 2024 over, and we're into 2025 soon. Just blows my mind. So just crazy how time flies. And man, oh my goodness, I'm coming back to the questions after I showed all those graphics. And buddy, we got questions. Are you ready?
One thing I would like to mention.
Yeah.
Those of us that are not struck by tragedy when tragedy hits, it somehow dissipates if we let it. The people of North Carolina and the people of Florida have just went through life-altering situations with their homes and their jobs and, the deaths and the injuries and all those things. And I just don't want all of us to forget about them. They're going to need a lot of help and assistance and support for months, if not years to come, to get their lives back. And those of us that can help, let's do, because we're just one storm away from being in that same boat.
Well said, Arn. And so glad that you mentioned that and brought that up. To your point, this has just happened only weeks ago. And so many of us sometimes just continue just to move on so quick, but there's so many people and families that they don't get the opportunity to move on quick. They're still dealing with a lot in their lives and a lot to clean up from, dig out from, a lot of loss. And so I'm glad that you took the opportunity to share that once again this week, and especially those in Florida. Storms were brutal. I knew I had some work friends that had to drive cross state just to get away from the damage and things like that were done. So I'm glad that you shared that. Thank you.
Yeah. Look, help where you can. It'll be appreciated. Trust me.
Very good. Well, Arn, with that said, are you ready to jump in and turn the show over to the fans? And
You bet.
and we're going to sit around and what we like to call here the virtual living room of Arn Anderson. And I'm going to start with Darth Payne, my buddy Ashley. And he said, "Hey, Paul, it's Ashley. Can Double A tell me what happened to the national tag team titles? I thought it was cool having them and the U.S. tag team titles. Thanks. You guys rule." So Arn and Storyline, did they just kind of fade off into the sunset? What is your recollection of the national tag team titles?
Well, I think Conrad Thompson has one of them.
The actual belt, yeah, one of the belts, yeah.
Yeah, which was mine. The one that the other one, I'm not sure.
But as far as in Storyline, though, was it just, hey, this title itself, it's just gonna fade to the background. We're doing away with the national belts as a whole and moving in a different direction?
I think when we started focusing on the TV title and Ole, when Ole took off, I'm not sure that we weren't still national tag champions.
Yeah.
When he disappeared, I think it just creative liberty just got dissipated. Let me put it to that way. Looking for
it just faded. It just kind of faded off in Storyline.
Fade to black.
Fade to black. There you go. All right, good stuff. Let's keep going. And Carl says, "Hey, Arns, I saw that you got to meet Gunther. Who would you rather take a chop from, him or Ric Flair?"
Oh, Rick, for sure.
You've taken some Flair chops in your day.
Yeah, because I know it at any moment I'm going to give one back. Not a chop, but something. Right. With Gunther, you may not get one back.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. That guy, when you talk about heavy-handed, you think about guys like Wahoo McDaniel, obviously those big, thick mitts. Gunther's in that vein.
I just like good, solid work, where it's a fight. I love anything that, lets you know there's a fight going on. Fans respond to discoloration on your chest or on your back or wherever it is you're getting beat up. If you can see it and you can hear it, makes it real easy to feel it.
Well, buddy, fortunately for you, you'll never have to worry about that situation. I don't see that.
Correct.
Slapping the shit out of your chest, so you're good to go. Our buddy CB chimes in. Arn, what do you think about the state of the NWA in 2024? So they have a big show coming up, Samhain 2 in Tampa. Tom Latimer's the champion, defending against EC3. Billy Corgan obviously running the promotion. Thoughts around NWA as they continue to be, again, another brand, another company out there for professional wrestling?
If you're a fan of wrestling, you really can't have enough companies out there. It's just another option. NWA is such a storied past and such a history. There was a place for that to be more of a wrestling product, mat wrestling, storytelling, different kind of, show all together. And I wish them a lot of luck. I hope they do well. I hope they shine, and I hope they flourish. And a lot of guys need jobs and girls. So hope it does well. Hope it catches on fire.
Continues to do well, and Billy's able to continue to make it a successful product, and it grows, and more talent. It's more opportunity for talent. You and I were just talking about that. Obviously, you saw AEW with that big Warner Brothers contract. They were finally able to announce a few-year deal, and as you said, Arn, hey, it's great for the boys and girls.
Yeah, I'm very happy for Tony Khan and all of his crew, everybody works there. Like I said, when wrestling is flourishing, it notoriously is every available company is doing well. It's just when they catch on fire, then it just causes a competition that everybody's a better product. And so that's what I hope for. Let's see how it goes.
There you go. That's for sure. Scotty Reed says, just wanted to say, what's up, Double A? Listening while at work. 4 horsemen for life. Scotty, thanks for checking in, man.
Very good, Scotty. Just don't get popped.
That's right. Just make sure the bosses don't see you. You know what? I'm, you know, and that's cool too. A lot of the folks are able to do their jobs and listen and watch. I think that's pretty badass. I know Andrew Hermes, the research guy on the show. He doesn't miss anything, and he works at a car dealership. He's selling cars, signing deals, watching streams. I mean, good on you guys for being able to do that.
It's real nice to be able to double clutch, isn't it?
It is for sure. Let's get into a super chat. Michael Jensen, thank you so much, man. He says, I know about the Halloween Havoc shows WCW used to run, but what were the Halloween time shows like in the Crockett days? Sorry if it was covered in previous episodes. So prior to the Halloween Havoc shows, what was Halloween season like in the Crockett days?
Did we actually run on Halloween?
And I think that's what he's curious about. Do you remember if you ran Halloween nights where you weren't home with the family? I'm sure.
I wouldn't have said if first glance that we would have done that, because kids were a big part of our audience, and Halloween is a big deal for kids. I would say we would have ran a day before it or a day after it, depending on if it fell. And if it fell during the week, you could run a TV taping, and if it fell on a TV taping day, you would just have some of the guys and girls dress up in costumes and make it a Halloween theme.
I love the whole Halloween Havoc pay-per-view. The idea, the concept, the creation for big fan. Were you a big fan of the Halloween Havocs when they made their debut, the pay-per-view?
It was just another day of work.
Okay.
For me, it didn't change.
Were you a big Halloween guy, Arn, growing up? Did you dress up at all?
I was no.
No, never. You can't think of your favorite costume that you ever wore?
Well, the neighborhood that I grew up in, it was strictly penny candy that you got. There were no such thing as getting a Hershey bar and all that. Let's just say that it was not a thriving, wealthy neighborhood.
You weren't getting them full bars.
No.
No,
and that was a lot of walking to get like a little bitty Tootsie Roll about this big.
And it was only one piece of penny candy.
One piece.
Ay. You got kids nowadays, they'll stare at you if you just throw in one piece of that. You know what I mean? Like,
hey, we just get bars of Reese's and bars of the different Hershey's and all bars, and we just get a jug of them and just let them reach in and get what they want, as long as they don't overdo it.
Okay. All right. So kids, head over to the Andersons' house. You're going to be hooked up.
We usually have happy campers when they leave our joint. I do love kids, and I do love watching them dress up, and the ones that are really having a good time and enjoying it and making a big deal out of it. That's it's nice in America that your kids can go out and be safe and go to the neighbor's stuff, house, and not have to worry about stuff. So much bullshit going on in the world, it gives you a little relief.
Well, that too, and I'm sure it's nice when there's a little leftovers for Arn Anderson too. When you
I
turn
cut
the lights
mine out before anybody else gets a jab at it.
You get your cut first?
Yeah. Come on now,
He's
Paul.
not a dummy.
Paul, come on.
Oh man, I love it. Arn's not a dummy. He's been around. All right, let's keep going. Super chats. We have John Falsetta, and he says, Arn, I've been a fan your whole career, so no disrespect with the question, but were you the agent nobody names for the infamous Goldberg William Regal match?
It's possible.
Do you remember
Yeah.
Okay. Do you recall this match at all? I pulled it up over here. I was going to read a little background for you if you want me to.
Yeah, it was Yeah, it was me. I had that match.
Oh, you did?
Yes, and I delivered instructions that I was given. You know, for Regal to have taken all the grief that he's taken over the years about that match, this is my personal opinion. It's the best match Goldberg ever had because it was one of the first contests that he was ever in where it was a 50-50 fight. And, when you've been given 8 minutes or 9 minutes or whatever it was, you can't just go out and slaughter a guy like William Regal for 9 minutes. You have to have a competitive match.
Let me read this excerpt from you. I'm reading it from WrestlingInc.com. The cause of the bad blood, and this is Regal and Goldberg, is the result of a singles match between the two on February 8th, 1998, 7 months into Goldberg's monstrous run in the company. The match, which saw Regal push Goldberg to his longest televised match to date at the time, led to Regal's subsequent firing from the company. Regal utilized his stiff style against the former defensive tackle, something that his lordship says was planned by the match's agent and not an attempt to make Goldberg look bad. I did as I was told by the person in charge of that match, Regal explained on an episode of his Gentleman Villain podcast. I was thrown under the bus by the producer in charge of it. So William Regal ultimately believes a lack of communication is what soiled the relationship with Goldberg and his tenure in WCW. I was so frustrated that night. Regal continued to explain on his podcast there was a lack of communication in WCW. Eric came out screaming. I took it on the chin. And so there we go.
Well, yeah, I didn't jump up and stick my chest out and go throw my boss under the bus, which would have been Eric.
Right.
When we discussed this beforehand, I said, Eric, we got 8-9 minutes here. You certainly don't want this to be just a squash job. You can't squash a guy for 8-9 minutes. And why would you a top hand like Regal? He said, no, go. I mean, they need to have a match. Well, then when it didn't come to fruition for everybody's happiness, I guess, when they actually went out and had a match and had a fight, and, I'm sure it was the first time Bill had been having to work and having to think about what he was doing because basically he just steamrolled everybody up until that point. And I personally thought he was having to work and dig. And I think wrestling fans, I don't know, they can tell me, do you like for a guy to have to work for what he gets, especially the company babyface, the face of the company? Do you want him to just go out and steamroll all your heels, or do you want a contest? And that's what they got. And I'm sorry that Regal got his ass chewed out. I wasn't aware that he got fired over it. But yes, I passed this information, guys. Have a hell of a match.
Right.
Have a competitive match.
If anything, right. And that's what we see nowadays. You don't see someone steamrolling, right?
No, I mean, I think it did Regal good. I think it served him well.
Well, so there you go. Great question.
There it is.
Yeah, there you go. The whole story right here with Arn. Michael Jensen's back. Michael, appreciate you so much. Another super chat. I live in Bam Bigelow territory here in the Jersey Shore. Just wondering Arn's recollections of Bam Bam and if Arn has ever been in our area of the country for any shows. Thanks as always.
I think I saw Bam Bam for the first time. I don't remember the company I was working for. It was probably WCW, and it was probably Atlantic City. But when we came in the building, I want to say he was putting up the ring. And I looked at him and I went, oh, Jesus. If that monster is putting up the ring, what are the boys going to look like when they get here?
Right.
Talking about super monsters. I mean, he was a big dude, had his head completely tattooed. He looked like a monster. And I guess he would have maybe just getting broke in, that's the reason he would be there putting up the ring or whatever, or helping put up the ring.
Arn, he was one of those super heavyweights similar to Vader that could do it all. I
He
mean,
can
come on.
move.
He could move the moonsaults, the all the stuff that he could do athletically for a guy his size. Again, it was just rare to see at that point. He was
You
a
bet.
phenomenal athlete.
You bet he was.
Yeah, he was something special. Thank you so much again for the question. And Jersey, not too far from where I'm at. And thank you so much. Darren Staley is up next. He's going to behave this week. He said going to do 3 things tonight. This super chat, a match to World Central Kitchen for disaster relief here in North Carolina. Kudos to you, Darren, and refrain from blue humor. And that's great, Darren. Thank you. In this episode, thank you for being here, Darren. And hey, man, there's a lot to be said for your donation for the disaster relief. Appreciate you, buddy.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yes,
You know, you get a lot of little pieces like that will help. When you total them all up, somebody will get some badly needing assistance.
For sure. Absolutely. Alex Constantino is up next. Another super chat. Guys, thank you so much. This has been awesome so far. Again, we have another 30 minutes or so keep them coming. Shoot fight, Arn, to the death. Who's winning? Harlem Heat or the Steiners? I've asked multiple people, and it's 50-50 on their responses. What say you, Arn? Who's winning in a shoot fight? Booker T and his big brother Stevie Ray, or the Steiners?
I think it'd be a coin flip. There was a time when Stevie Ray was an absolute monster in that weight room. I mean, a monster, as were the Steiner brothers.
Sure.
You know, I think Booker has probably shown himself to be pretty salty. I know he ain't scared. So I think I'd go with the 50-50.
It probably depends on the day.
Yeah, I mean, there's no clear-cut winner here. It's like
it's a coin flip, man. That's almost that's a tough question. That's a tough question to answer. Darren Staley said, by the way, in that picture with you as Freddy Krueger, you look like Big Bubba Rogers because you had the hat on and the sunglasses. You did look a little bit like Big Bubba.
With the detached head.
With it, he's not letting that one go. You hear it, Marcus? He's not forgetting that you made him detached. Okay.
Well, that's pretty creepy. A head just floating around.
Well, it's par for the course. It's that season. It needs to be creepy.
Yeah, sure. I'm not offended.
Yeah, John Woodmass, Arn, I respect you, brother. A mainstay and a Hall of Famer, and I hope Brock can recreate the Horseman.
Yeah.
They're doing their own little spin on it, aren't they?
So do I. I mean, the Horseman is not going to be reintroduced anytime soon. This is not the Horseman.
Not in this version. Yeah.
It's not the full Horseman.
Right.
What they got a completely separate deal. They've got a separate logo. You can go to their there's actually pretty cool t-shirt. You can go to MLW and look up the t-shirt they have for those guys. Looks pretty nice, but it's not. Let's don't make a mistake here. It's not the full Horseman. That's something that is going to stay in the record books to the proper time and maybe forever, because the expectations on any 4 guys, you know, they're going to have a tough road to hold. That's for sure. Next group of guys that are called, if they do call themselves, if they will, you know, if they do have that situation occur, they got to be special.
If you're looking for the shirt, go to MLW.com and you can search their shop. It's the Rogue Horseman is the emblem.
Yes.
There you go. Bailey03 AA, thank you for being a part of my childhood. What was your favorite feud you had in your career in Georgia? Crockett, WWF, and WCW. So he's got all 4. Thank you again. So Bailey wants to know favorite feud. Let's start in Georgia.
Probably Ole and I. Well, that was probably been Crockett. So before that, Um, I was just when I was just getting to Georgia, I was just getting started. Um,
So
I
you
was
wouldn't
just
necessarily
I,
think that you had a feud or anybody that maybe someone you just enjoyed working with or taught you some in Georgia.
well, we were a week out from getting their tag belts. And we
Okay.
know the story. Matt got in
Yep.
a little bit of trouble, and
Sure. Yep.
got canned, and then it was like the best that was to come in the Georgia territory for me got shortchanged for a week, and
Yeah.
then it disappeared. So there was nothing really I could point to because we were
Nothing that you
just
can sink your teeth in while you were there.
yeah we were there maybe 6 months at the time when that happened, so we didn't really have a chance to get on fire.
What
Uh,
about Crockett?
oh God, anything involving Dusty and
Dusty.
whatever partners he had. Rock and Roll Express was awesome.
Yeah.
In those days, the Road Warriors were on fire.
I mean, then you guys went with the Midnights. I mean, you guys had so many good
Yeah,
feuds.
there's too many to even
Yeah.
count. Everybody we worked with, we were just
But I like the Dusty because Dusty and the Horsemen, it was just always electric. I mean, fans just everywhere screaming. So it could have
well,
been any combination of you guys against Dusty and TA, Dusty and Nikita. It didn't matter. Dusty and a broomstick. The crowd's going crazy.
yeah. I mean, Magnum, the Rock and Roll. Anybody you put with Dusty in that 6 or 8 man situation,
Yeah.
magic.
Yeah. Now you were there for a year. WWF favorite feud in the WWF
Rockers.
Rockers. Okay. Now you come back to WCW. Anything stand out in that run back in WCW? A feud that you enjoyed?
I love working with Steamboat.
Okay.
That would have been the first time I would have got to work with Ricky. That was awesome. When Larry and I, believe it or not, Larry and I were wrestling Dustin with a mystery partner, and it was either a Clash of Champions or it was a pay-per-view, and it turned out it was Steamboat under the Dragon Head.
Yes. Yeah.
I
When
think
the
that
place erupted.
7,000 people maybe it wasn't like 20,000 people or something. It was maybe 7,000, but the place went crazy because in those days they had no idea. There was no social media. There was nobody stooging it off that he was going to be there. There was no setup for it. It was basically just out of the blue. And their last time I think they had seen Ricky, he would have been working for WWF. So it was really a shocker. He changed companies, and it was
Can you imagine
awesome.
how cool it will be to go back to those days where you have no idea and you're genuinely, as a fan, surprised by something? Like there's no dirt, there's no scoop. You just see it and just fall off your couch.
Yeah.
I miss those days.
Yeah. Too many surprises are given away. Too many people use social media for all the wrong things. And it just makes it impossible to have a lot of surprises when people
Yeah,
are
very hard. Now they're
misusing.
smuggling people under bags and buses and coats and trench coat. I mean, hiding people. It's like an act of God to try to do something. Now your surprise with Cody a few months back, that really floored people. Floored me, buddy.
No, didn't get out. Nobody expected it. Nobody knew about it. I loved it.
Well,
Loved it.
nobody. It was so good, and so we love those moments for sure. Alex Constantino is back with the super chat, and he has a question, and this has been a little bit of a tone. I've seen others ask in the chat, so I'm going to ask you. And he says, Arn, who's going to be the culprit of the eventual Who Killed AEW documentary? Arn, you work for the company, and we're talking about social media, and there is a lot of passionate fans that are sometimes they're for one company, not for a company, like it all. But his question is, who killed AEW? Who's gonna be the culprit for that if that happens?
Probably won't die in my lifetime.
Okay. Too much money.
Too many resources, too many
Yeah.
resources. He's got a talent list 10 miles long. He's got, forget about the TV deal that they signed. think of all the other assets that him and his family, the Khan family, have. I mean, to draw from. And I mean, I don't want to see them die. Who in the hell would want to see them die is just insane. I feel like the company is going to get bigger and stronger, and it's going to evolve, and be interesting to see, because the talent swap that's going on right now is just, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's to the point where, and I don't mean that a negative ridiculous. It's
ridiculous, good, meaning of just wild. All this talent that happens. Like
every week they're swapping talent between WWE and AEW. So interesting to be.
It drives up the dollars for the boys and girls.
Keeps the products fresh. We'll see.
You have the Yankees and the Dodgers. They both have tremendous payrolls, but they're both going after talent. Now, and you want competition.
Here's something that popped me, and I don't know if it had anything to do with us. Do you know what the Guardians bullpen's nickname is?
Tell me.
Four Horsemen.
Is it? Okay. Well, there you go.
I heard it on the telecast. Now,
okay.
If that was referring to the group in the Bible,
yeah,
or us, I don't know, but I thought it was pretty cool because it just kind of came out of nowhere. One of the guys came out of the bullpen and entering the game, and there was one of the Four Horsemen, the Guardians bullpen. So.
It would have been really cool if the closer's nickname was the Enforcer. Now that would have been badass too.
Yeah, it wouldn't suck. So I wonder if anybody out there listening has an opportunity to find out. I would be interested.
Where's Yambag Jones? He's a Cleveland Guardians fan. He lives in the Cleveland area. He might have some insight on it.
Maybe he would know.
Yeah, he's a Guardians fan. Yeah,
because
Cleveland.
If it was referring to us and they were fans of ours, then I am blushing big time.
That's awesome. All right. Alex Constantino up again. Super chat. Best go-to cure for a hangover. So, Arn, this is probably back in your working days. Did you have a good go-to?
Get a large bottle of tomato juice. Put it in the refrigerator. Get it ice cold. Salt it down. And kill it up.
You're a V8 guy.
Tomato juice.
Okay.
If V8 is all you have, it's a second best, but just plain old tomato juice, ice cold, salted down. It helps.
I love it. And this is why we come to the virtual living room, Alex. Try it out. Let us know if the tomato juice fix works for you. Darren Staley with a good old traditional wrestling question. I may have asked this before, but did Arn ever get a chance to work with Piper or Valentine? I know all heels, but damn.
Yeah, missed that one. In those days, it was clear who were baby faces and who were heels, and very seldom did you cross over. I didn't wrestle Piper or Valentine.
Never. Not even a tag match, Valentine, not at all. Interesting.
Nope. Not to my recollection.
Let's continue on with some chats. This is good stuff, guys. Mary Harris. Mary, I want to ask a question for you. It said, what is one of the funniest stories about Barry Windham when y'all was on the road? Love the Four Horsemen. Love listening to you talk about wrestling, Arn. A funny Barry Windham story.
I think it's a little bit too gross. It's funny.
I feel like Tony Schiavone's told a gross story about Barry before.
Oh, he did? What did that involve? Can you say?
It was something about throwing up a sandwich. It was, and I can barely recall. I mean, I can recall it somewhat, but not all the details. So I'm not going to do it justice. But it had to do with the sandwich and him getting up chucking, and I don't know. What's your story have to do with?
Well, we were in, I want to say it was either St. Louis or Kansas City, and there was like don't even know what you would call it. It's like a ledge, but an outdoor sitting area, and there was a shortage of bathrooms.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember, and there was a real shortage. I think that the public had all of just about. Well, there was like maybe one bathroom that you could use, and then you could go out this back door, and there was this big cement ledge that was out there, and I think Barry was up there stretching, realized he had to go to the bathroom, number two, pretty badly. And he went down, tried to get in the bathroom, the only one that was available, and there was a line of probably 10 people to get in that one. All of a sudden, we're out stretching on this ledge, and now this is probably 30 by 50. I mean, there was plenty of room, and it was cool up there, and a little breeze, could stretch out easy. And all of a sudden, Barry comes busting through that door, goes over, shits on the ledge, and shits off the ledge. Like I said, projectile pooping.
Projectile pooping, the double P. What do you do in that situation? Because you need to have some kind of cleanup.
Gag.
Yeah, but I mean, come on. What do you just
it went
pull them
on
up and go in the ring?
It went over the ledge and down below.
Did he have to wrestle that night?
Oh, he had a handful of napkins when he got down to that bathroom and figured out he couldn't make it in. He snatched a bunch of napkins and came up and sat on that ledge, if you can imagine, with his butt facing out. And
oh man,
yeah, it was hard. I'm sorry that being a young lady, but
hey, she wanted something, and you got something, and it's right around dinner time. So happy Tuesday, everybody.
Pretty disgusting.
There you go. Well, we'll transition right out of that one. Projectile pooping. Michael Jensen's back. Last one for tonight. No, Michael, come on. Just keep them coming, buddy. We appreciate you. On this day in 2018, Roman Reigns announced his leukemia was back. Just wanted to point out what an amazing story his comeback is. So true, man. Unbelievable. 6 years ago, today, he announced his leukemia came back. And how many, I mean, without you even saying that, I had totally forgotten about that recently, but it's so true. And what a comeback and career he's had since overcoming that.
Island boys, every single one of them are beasts. I don't care. Roman being able to fight that off. Leukemia usually goes over in most fights, you know. And it just shows what a tough son of a gun he is, and God's on his path with him, and he's turned into an incredible talent, flagship of the company, one of them, and just a really tough son of a gun. And we're all glad that he's going to fight this thing off and have a very long and illustrious career, as long as he wants.
Yeah, prayers too, and that it doesn't ever make its way back again, or never becomes a scare again for him, and that's the last time that he'll have to deal with that. Because to your point, he has had it's not just been a comeback; it's been a historic comeback and rise for him. And not only that, just he's a young man, and to have a family and things like that. So just incredible. Thank you for pointing that out. Darren's not done. He's not letting this go about Piper and Greg Valentine. He's back. He said, Arn, I can't let it go. No heels, no faces, no promo, just work. Which one, Piper or Valentine? Who was better? Who would Arn would have want to work with more, Piper or Valentine?
Well, Valentine was he was one of those chop guys. You know what I mean? He would beat you up. I think Piper obviously had such a gift of gab. He could talk them in the building, you know, and he was more of a fighter, a punch and kick guy.
Mm-hmm.
I would think Valentine, believe it or not, might have more wrestling skills
Sure.
than Piper.
I can see that. Yeah.
Probably it'd be hard to put them in the same group and say which one, because they both brought something. I mean, Greg would have a contest with anybody that he wanted to. He was good. He had, come from that lineage with his dad, came from that era where they were good, solid workers.
Yeah, worker. When I think of Valentine, I think of worker.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
me too.
Yeah. Piper he could work, but he brought that entertainment and taught, like you said, the heat, make people hate him, the fire. He had the entertainment side, the part to draw you in emotionally.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So both skilled and good. What about you, Darren? Who you picking? Who would you want to see Arn work with? I'll turn it back to you and say, who's your choice that you want to see Arn Anderson work with out of the two? So we'll reverse it to you. We have Instagram wrestling historian, pretty consistent with the super chats tonight, guys. Thank you so much. This has been awesome. He said, in your opinion, Arn, what's Ric Flair's best match?
Oh, you have to go with Steamboat, I guess.
I mean, the trilogy in '89 and
all those matches that we never saw for Jim Crockett Promotions back in early 80s,
late 70s, early 80s. They talk about, and Flair brings them up too. To your point, good callback. Yeah,
because Ricky just, if anybody sold better than him, I don't know who it was. It may be Ricky Morton, but Steamboat had that real good physique. He had $1 million look, and his tough baby face. You had to beat him down for him to stay down, and he was never out of the fight. That would get my vote.
Arn, I'm trying not to crack up laughing, but I see what's up next in the super chat, and we have really opened Pandora's box here with the pooping story. Efren Guzman, morbid question, but I gotta know. He just has to know. At work, we know when an individual goes to the toilet, he's gonna blow it up. Whose poop is the worst? You wouldn't want to go to the bathroom afterwards, and why?
Oh God, I don't know. Who knows? You know what? They're all the shits. How about that?
Perfect answer. Perfect answer. Oh man. Now I gotta off the ledge. When you say off the ledge, did it like just drop down? Was like the ledge up high and like the parking lot down low?
Yeah, it was like a wall.
A wall.
It was a ledge, but it had a wall that was, that you could sit on, and your butt would hang off.
Right. But what was below that wall? Like what was
cement down there?
But there was nobody parked down there. There was no fan.
No.
Okay.
No. It was just on like
Sorry, I was even curious about that.
Random part of the building.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I mean it's. I guess when you got to go, you got to go.
Oh, for sure. And we learned that tonight. ATF Media has a question. We're going to transition this one quickly. Do you think the U.S. government should have hired Hands of Stone Ronnie Garvin to punch the recent hurricanes and therefore save lives? I don't know what kind of question. That's hilarious. But listen, no. Wild question. Hands of Stone Ron Garvin. Let's just stop while we're there. Have you talked or seen him lately, Arn? Have you been able to catch up with Hands of Stone?
Not in years. I don't remember the last time. It would probably have been at one of these Comic-Cons or wrestling events that I just pass and repass. So I'm maybe just for a minute or two. Much respect. Enjoyed working with him. Loved working with him. He made everything real, and you could just go into the match knowing that if you didn't fight him, he'd eat you alive. But if you fought him, you were in for a 4-star match because he was just that good.
For sure. We will continue on. Scott Hazard, Arn is my favorite. What, if anything, did Mrs. Anderson think when you and the Horsemen were doing promos? And thank you for the excellent cameo a couple years ago. You did a cameo for Scott, and he wants to thank you for that. Arn, you certainly had a lot of fun with the Horsemen years. Talk about Aaron. She's had a lot of fun with you, and now she gets to travel with you and the Horsemen. But the Horseman days. When did you two actually get married? When did you tie the knot? Was it in the mid 80s?
85, 85.
85. There you go. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, she's the love of my life. She was the one that I knew immediately.
Yep.
I said, that's the one. And to be together all, we're 30, 38, 39 years, however many that is from 1985. It's when we got married. To be together in this business that long, you got to have a hell of a woman because they have to do everything. Anything breaks down, car breaks down, kids in trouble at school, you name it. Whatever it is, they have to do it and they have to fix it or get it done. And they're by themselves a lot of the time. So I don't think the wives who get nearly enough credit, they are the unsung heroes of every successful guy in this business who's got a good woman behind him. And I can't tell you what she means to me.
Arn, and I've been privileged enough to be able to spend some time talking with your wife, man. She is awesome. She is great, first class, classy individual, and you are blessed for sure. I'll say that as well.
For sure.
Darren Staley said he would pick Piper for the promo and Valentine for the work, and that's exactly what we were saying as well in terms of their working. What about Brian Nodal? He's here and he wants to talk about the Yankees and the Dodgers. He says, how about those Yankees? Arn, do you have a pick for the World Series?
And this may seem almost mundane, but yeah, the Dodgers. And because Freddie former Brave, Freddie Freeman, once I still can't get used to him with that Dodger uniform on. He's such a Brave. He's an Atlanta Brave. And, he was the heartbeat of that team when he was there. I hated losing him.
I have a friend who's a diehard Braves fan, and he's still a little bitter towards Freddie for leaving. He was just such a massive fan of Freddie as well.
They should have paid him.
Yeah, agreed. Ryan said, Arn, did you have any memories working at the Fort Hesterly Armory in Tampa? Also, fun fact, the cover of Elvis Presley's first album was taken there. So do you remember the armory in Tampa, the Fort Hesterly Armory?
Yeah. Is that the one that was so hot? Did they film TV there or just house shows? There was one building that was just boiling.
Okay.
That's what I remember mostly
about Tampa. There you go.
Yeah.
James Byer says, hey guys, grateful for another session. How do you think Bret Hart or Randy Savage would have fared in the WCW of 1992 as opposed to later on in the 90s? As we know that there were talks about them potentially in 92. So what about bringing Bret Hart and Savage there in 92, a few years earlier?
Well, with their styles, they would have blended with anybody, anytime. And, maybe sooner might have been better. I don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows? It depends on who you put them in an angle with. I think Bret Hart would, thrived under Eddie.
You wouldn't have had Hogan there in 92.
Yeah.
So that big personality wouldn't be in the way.
It would have allowed them to become bigger stars, I think.
Yeah. Without
that roadblock to overcome. Who knows? That's one of those.
Yeah. What if? Daisy Mama has a fun question. Do you prefer a 2-man or a 3-man announced team? And if you were to pair up for a match, and if they were to pair up for one match, do you think JR, Tony, and the King would be good together?
JR, Tony,
and the King.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. Obviously, that's 3 of the best.
You'd have JR and the King, who were great together, and then Tony would just fill in. That's right. He would just be able to fill in the whatever.
He could just kick in some smart ass comment.
Yeah.
Pick his spots, and he would figure out a way how to be the star coming out of that.
Come out smelling like a rose.
Well,
right?
yeah, if you got 3 guys, I'm just sitting here picturing
Yeah.
it. Somebody's got to do the stats,
Yeah.
you
JR.
know, and do all the stuff, this happened at this date, so and so, what about this angle, blah, 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 blah. Then you got the color guy that just flavors it with,
Yep,
putting the
cherry.
guys over. And then you would have one guy just kind of sitting there waiting for an
Just
opening
jabbing.
to shine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you like the 2-man or 3-man? Do you have a
I like
preference?
3-man.
Okay.
I like 3-man. Yeah.
Darren Staley says, last thing, the amount of money I would spend to have seen Arn on Piper's Pit going promo to promo. Okay, I'll hush now. But that's kind of fun to think about.
Oh, I'd loved it.
Woo!
I would loved it. I'd love to, butt heads with him on a promo. Would not be intimidated one bit. I would love it.
Ryan, what kind of question is this? Why Red Lobster for your wedding reception, and how many cheddar biscuits were eaten on that day?
2 baskets, and I didn't have any money.
Well, there you go.
I didn't make any money at that particular point in time. When I left Pensacola, I want to say Pensacola, that full year, 84 bleeding into 85, I made like 30 grand. That ain't much money in the wrestling business when you're paying all your expenses out of pocket. There was no guaranteed money. It was, you paid for all your expenses. So Red Lobster was a big deal to me.
Hey, Arn, don't feel bad. Kurt Angle, he proposed to Giovanna at an Applebee's.
Wow.
So there you go. We learned that on his show together. We laughed our butts off over it. Eating good in the neighborhood. That's where he got.
Well, that's what the advertisement says. I don't know about that.
I said, why Applebee's? He was like, well, that's where we had our first date, Paul. I'm like, this is just getting worse, dude. It's just getting worse.
I would take our joint.
Yeah, Red Lobster.
Yeah,
at least you can get some crab cakes there, right? Some shrimp.
Remember, it's not cheap.
And Darren Staley said, and remember, there was no. Think about he's being mean because he was like, and there was no endless shrimp in those days.
That's true.
Arn Anderson versus Larry the Lobster. Instagram. Larry. Oh man, my goodness. Arn, we'll save if you have one more super chat, guys. Throw it in. I'll do one more super chat. Otherwise, I'm going to start going into a few reminders here this week. This has been a lot of fun. We can't thank you guys enough for all being here, guys and gals. Lots of great questions, lots of great super chats. But this is your opportunity to have a little bit of fun with Arn, ask him some great questions. So we appreciate all of you. I got to talk about the shirt. This great shirt here, the maroon. I love the maroon. Okay. It reminds me back of you and Oli and the maroon gear. But you can get it and a few different other colors. If you don't like the maroon, you can get this shirt at onetruesport.com. Finds all kinds of great stuff. The Horseman jackets are back. And so you can see it right here on the screen as well, 1tsport.com or spell it out, onetruesport.com. But man, Arn, I've been so excited about the Horseman merch, your merch. Tully, I'm seeing Tully on Tullyvision wearing his Tully shirts that we're doing over at the store. A lot of great wrestling collections over there. So make sure you check it out, onetruesport.com. But a couple of Horseman jackets are already sold, Arn. Pretty excited about it.
Well, they're lightweight enough. You can just take them off, wad them up, throw them somewhere. They're fun. Well, they're fun. It's like that baseball jacket gimmick.
That's right.
Very, very durable.
They look just like you wore down to the ring.
Exact.
So good.
Exact.
And I'm working with the guy too to get digitized and embroider file for the Brainbusters. I want Brainbuster jackets just like those too. So really excited about the store. And so make sure you check out some designs. We're really excited about that. Also, make sure when you see Arn, we talked about all the places he's going to be. Check out those comic books. You still have some comic books with you, Arn, that you're selling?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, for those, it's a double whammy. It's an autobiography, which people wanted. right there, and it's done in comic book forms, so it would appeal to your younger readers as well, I think.
It's phenomenal. It's a phenomenal read, and this is where you get to learn more about Arn Anderson. And so make sure you check it out. And he will have them in hand when you go to meet him. So he will make sure he has them at any of his appearances. I wanted to mention Ultra Pro Wrestling from Hyper Focus Games. If you're not following them on social, if you're not a part of their Patreon, get up with them, find them, follow them. Because in 2025, that video game is going to kick ass. I'm telling you, you're going to be able to be Arn Anderson. He's going to be a downloadable character. Magnum TA, so many wrestlers, Demolition, others. Arn's going to be a part of it. Over 100 free agent downloadable characters. So check it out for sure. You can follow them at UpW Video Game. And their Patreon is patreon.com/Ultra Pro Wrestling. And that's where you're going to find out exclusive content. That's the first place they're announcing more downloadable characters. And they're not done yet. Das Wonder Kid, Alex Wright, who we've been talking about here on the show, is someone else that they've signed on to that video game too. And he does all the dance moves and stuff too. I think I'm doing more of like the bushwhacker dance. But anyway,
you might want to just get past that.
I'm not going to do that ever again.
Yeah.
So yeah,
please don't.
Yeah, I used to have a friend that said don't sing. I just realized I don't want to dance ever again either. But Arn, this has been fantastic, man. Thank you so much for doing this with me and for doing this with all of us this month.
Thank you guys, as always. You know, we're a family, and we look after each other. And I hope you got a chance to step away from any pain in the ass things you got going on and just laugh a little bit.
There you go, for sure. Well, listen, we're going to be back on Tuesday, November 5th, 6 p.m. Eastern. Mark it down on your calendars. We'll start, we'll cover the next month in Arn's career, so make sure you're back for that one. On behalf of Arn Anderson, the Hall of Famer, this is Paul Bromwell, and we'll see you in 2 weeks, November 5th, 6 p.m. Eastern, right here on Arn.